everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining me today because, well, we are tackling one of the absolute most anticipated topics for management aspirants. We're getting into the real, hard data behind the admissions criteria for IIM Bangalore. We're going to completely decode the minimum CAT percentile requirements, the specific sectional cutoffs, and, of course, those holistic profile evaluation factors like academics, work experience, and diversity that actually decide whether you score that coveted interview shortlist. Okay, let's kick things off with a question that causes literally so much anxiety. Do you think scoring a 99 percentile on the CAT exam automatically guarantees you an IIM Bangalore interview call? It's such a common assumption, right? You hit the top percentile and boom, you're basically in. Well, the reality might actually surprise you, and that is exactly what we are going to break down today. To navigate all of this, we've got a very clear roadmap. First, we'll look at the IIM Bangalore dream. Second, we'll dive into the minimum eligibility cutoffs. Third, we'll explore the holistic evaluation reality. And finally, we will talk about safe targets for aspirants. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the IIM Bangalore dream. So why did thousands of candidates put themselves through this incredibly rigorous process every single year? Well, IIM Bangalore consistently ranks as a top business school in India. It's universally known for its excellent placements, a massive global reputation, and a really strong alumni network. It's a total dream destination. But because of that, the competition is absolutely fierce. You've got over 3 lakh candidates taking the CAT annually, all fighting for a very limited number of seats. And the very first step to claiming one? Clearing the CAT-based shortlisting criteria. And that brings us to Section 2, minimum eligibility cutoffs. This is the baseline data. Let's look at how specific these baseline requirements actually are. For general category candidates, you need an 85 overall percentile just for the first stage of shortlisting. But look closely at the breakdown. You need an 80 in verbal ability and reading comprehension, and a 75 in both data interpretation and logical reasoning, as well as quantitative ability. As we move to other categories, those overall minimums shift. It's 75 for OBC and EWS, 70 for SC, and 65 for ST. But here is the kicker. Across the board, every single category demands a baseline proficiency in all 3 individual sections. Now listen, this is where so many candidates trip up. The crucial rule you have to remember is this. Clearing the overall percentile alone is never, ever sufficient. You must clear both the overall requirement and every single sectional cutoff. Imagine a candidate who scores a massive 99 percentile overall, right? But they drop just 1 point below the minimum required for their category in quantitative ability. Unfortunately, they are entirely out of the shortlisting pool. Balance across the entire exam is absolutely mandatory. So let's move on to Section 3, the holistic evaluation reality. This is where we have to tackle the single biggest myth about the whole IIM Bangalore process. Here is the most critical distinction we're making today. Meeting the minimum cutoff eligibility does not, I repeat, does not mean you have a guaranteed interview call. These are completely different things. Those baseline cutoffs, they literally just allow you into the shortlisting pool. In reality, the candidates who actually get those interview calls often have percentiles way, way higher than those minimums. You might be wondering, if CAT scores alone aren't enough, what in the world else are they looking at? Well, IIM Bangalore uses a really holistic evaluation process. It's like a giant puzzle. Aside from your CAT performance, they're looking at your 10th marks, your 12th marks, and your graduation grades. They factor in your work experience. They're also actively looking for academic diversity and gender diversity to build a really dynamic, well-rounded cohort. So, what this means in the real world is that candidate A, who has a beautifully balanced academic profile and, say, 2 years of work experience, might actually beat out candidate B, who is relying entirely on a sky-high CAT score but has 0 real-world experience or weaker academics. Knowing all of that, let's jump to Section 4, safe targets for aspirants. How do we actually bridge the gap between those bare minimums and what genuinely secures a seat? Well, if your goal is to truly maximize your chances of getting a call, you can't just prepare for the bare minimum. You've got to aim higher. The data points us to these safe targets. For the general category, you really should be aiming for a 98 percentile or higher. For the OBC category, aim for 95 plus. For the SC category, the safe target is 90 plus. And for the ST category, you want to aim for 80 plus. But hey, remember our crucial rule from earlier. Even as you're shooting for these really high overall numbers, you have to maintain strict balance across all 3 CAT sections, or your profile won't even be looked at. And that brings us right to our final takeaway for this explainer. Minimum cutoffs help you qualify, but a strong profile helps you convert. The journey totally does not end with just clearing the exam cutoff. The real magic happens when you build a holistic profile that genuinely stands out during that grueling shortlisting process. So I'll leave you with this. Looking at your own background right now, what steps can you take today to strengthen your overall profile beyond just cramming for the exam? Really think about that as you map out your strategy. Thank you so much for hanging out with me to decode this blueprint, and I will catch you in the next explainer.